All right, welcome to my office. And this is our first review video for our first quiz that will be next Thursday when I get there. And let me start by the preface that I've always said, you are responsible for any of the notes that I gave you. I do very much try to make sure that everything that I review in this little video covers everything on the quiz. I'm not guaranteeing it though, but I do try my best to do that. This quiz is going to look the following. There's going to be a matching section, matching different people with what they've said. Then there's going to be a multiple choice section at which you'll have 2 or 3 possible answers. And then there'll be a true and false section that deals with just question, and it's not modified. So just simply, is it true or is it false? Obviously, read those very carefully, as they can be a little tricky because maybe some of the answers might be very close. I have done a little bit. I've tried to italicize the segment in which you want to read very carefully in the question. I won't always do that on true and false questions, but to help you along with this one. The quiz has 15 questions, so it's not a very big quiz, and I even got a couple of bonus questions on there to help you out, so you can get over 100%. And so anyway, this is just some of the information that you want to look at. Of course, we talked about that court case that established the fact that this is a Christian nation. That court case was Church of the Holy Trinity versus the United States. And we mentioned in that court case that the decision was only 16 pages long, but Justice Brewer gave 80 historic reasons or precedents of why this nation is a Christian nation. And of course, Justice Brewer is the one that kind of made that phrase popular. We also mentioned another court case, Lytle versus Gerard's Executors, and that is a court case in which Justice Joseph Story made this comment. He said, where can the purest principles of morality be learned so clearly and so perfectly as the New Testament? And of course, that tells us quite a bit, the fact that even a Supreme Court justice realized that principles of morality found in the New Testament. President Roosevelt, of course, said that our nation was founded on principles of Christianity. President Woodrow Wilson said that America was born a Christian nation, that America was born to exemplify the devotion and the elements of righteousness which are derived from the revelation of Holy Scriptures. And it was President Jimmy Carter who said, we have a responsibility to try to shape government so that it does exemplify the will of God. It's hard to imagine a liberal president like Jimmy Carter saying that we need to make the government so it does the will of God, but he said that. That great Frenchman, Alexis de Tocqueville, wrote in his Democracy of Nations that there's no country in the world where the Christian religion retains a greater influence over the souls of men than in America. And that is what he said. In this quiz, we're going to talk about several of the different court cases. And so you want to know some of the court cases, but also the dates for some of those cases and what happened in those cases. Please remember that a very important date is 1962, when the Supreme Court basically said that the public schools had to be secularized. And with that, they banned public prayer in public schools. And so in 1962, kind of the real start of where the downhill process went. A year later, in 1963, the Supreme Court came back and said that Bible reading in school was not to be allowed. And then in 1980, the court ruled that a student could even look at the Ten Commandments, even if the Ten Commandments were just kind of a picture on the wall, kind of like a piece of artwork or whatever, that students could not have, the public schools could not have the Ten Commandments hanging, and that students couldn't look at it. It also mentioned 1985 that the court ruled that even silent prayers in school were prohibited, which, as we said, I don't know how they would enforce that. Then we went on and talked about the discovery of colonial America, and we mentioned that Leif Erikson, or Leif Erikson, depending on how you pronounce his name, was the Viking explorer who first He was the first European to discover North America. Now, don't get him confused with Christopher Columbus, who we call the discoverer of America. In all actuality, Leif Erikson was here first, up in Canada anyway. Christopher Columbus actually didn't land on the mainland, but we give him credit for discovering America. We also mentioned the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans, who all practiced human sacrifice. We mentioned that I believe that God took away their land because of the wickedness. Of course, we know that God drives people out of the land when they do wrong, and definitely those pre-American groups did very wrong. We mentioned historian B.F. Morris, who said that really this new world, America, wasn't settled until there had been certain changes wrought in Europe, which would make certain that it would always be a land of freedom. And although Columbus discovered America in 1492, it wasn't really till the late 1500s where colonists started coming over, in early 1600s, when colonists started coming over and settling in America. We mentioned different countries and their reasonings for coming over. We mentioned that the Spanish mainly had a reason of trying to find gold, and they were all after the mine. France's main interest was that of fur trading, and they did a lot of trading with the Indians and so forth. Neither country was very interested in propagating the gospel. Really, the people that came over and settled were all men. They didn't usually have women and children along. And it was the English nation that really started settling and bringing families over. Of course, England was a Protestant nation. England also had the Bible available, and so God used them in a great way. We mentioned that Englishmen came for many different reasons, but different reasons than the Spanish and the French. They mainly came over for religious freedom, economic freedom, and political freedom. And we talked about the different things going on in England at the time that caused that. We also mentioned different groups that were splitting from the Church of England or the Anglican Church. The Puritans sought to purify the Anglican Church. And once again, the Anglican Church is not the Catholic Church. Remember, the Anglican Church pulled out of the Catholic Church. And the Puritans, they said that there's problems in the Anglican Church. We're going to stay in and try to fix them. There was another group called the Separatists who said there's too many problems, too much Catholic doctrine in the Anglican Church. We are separating from them. So a lot of good things there to cover. Not everything mentioned is necessarily on the quiz, but it could be on the upcoming midterm test. And so this review video not only will help you for the quiz, but will also